Welcome to another episode of Market Overdrive, quarantine on location, aka home. Thank you guys for joining us every Thursday and staying true to us and elevating your real estate IQ despite what's going on in the market. With me, my co-host, Tammy Scarlett. How are you, Tammy?
Hello, Carla. I am well. How are you doing this Thursday?
I'm going, right? So we're still quarantined and some of us get to go out. We're doing a lot of virtual showings for our clients. I'm currently working with the clients who, believe it or not, also is part of that vulnerable demographic. So he has to stay at home. And what we're doing is literally going to properties and showing him the properties through our phones. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy this whole Zoom thing. There's that house party website and then of course the FaceTime. So we're doing a lot of that. Technology and I have never been super friends, but I'm getting acquainted.
Yeah, my calendar is actually starting to fill up now with these online social events. So I have to check and be like, oh, let me see if I can make it on Saturday at 6 because I already have a couple things going on at Saturday that I'm attending online.
Oh my God, Tammy, can I tell you? It is so true. So I had a showing at 2 and then 4 and all through Zoom. And then tomorrow, aside from Fem City's cocktail party, I call it cocktail party, but it's not cocktails, right? It's just a get together. I'm loving this whole Zoom networking and showings, everything through the comfort of my home. It's a whole new way of doing business.
It's the new normal.
It's the new normal. Hey, we can't really frown upon what's happening, right? I mean, we're sitting in our spaces. I've been gardening. I've been painting cabinets. I've been painting and organizing my cabinets. My kids really, really hate me. We actually have a schedule. But I think it's cool because I'm getting to see them more. I'm learning how to cook. So it's taking away a little bit of the businesswoman in me, but I guess I'm really enjoying the mommy. Well, let me not exaggerate. I'm enjoying spending time with the kids, but the mommy whole thing, cleaning and washing, and I cook 3 to 4 times every day. It's getting a little bit too much. But anyway, again, thank you guys for joining us and hanging out with us. And we're here to talk to you about real estate, what to do during this downtime as you're sitting at home and trying to figure out what things to do to keep you, busy, entertained, educated. We always keep obviously promoting real estate. And this is a really good book, Rich Buyer, Rich Seller. Add this to your reading materials or reading list. It's a great book. And for those of my friends who speak Spanish, Papá Rico y Papá Pobre, en serio, lo mejor. I really enjoy these books because it goes back to the core of what we teach in these Investing You seminars that we do for first-time investors. Really, it is the best time for you to become acquainted with what's available for sale in the 2 flat, 3 flat, to even 10 flat market, right? Because right now, as you're sitting at home, one of the businesses that you could definitely venture into or open and be that CEO is of a property. If you buy a multi-unit property, you are the CEO of, say, 1933 West Ohio, right? First floor, second floor, and basement. I've found that the key to making money is to have that accessory unit. Cover your ears, Tammy. But really, if somebody can live in the basement and rent out the other 2 units, or maybe you live in the 3rd floor and rent out the other 2 units, it's one way to pay your mortgage while not waiting on your income or revenue from your employer to carry your living, right? So what other debt or loan can you get where you can actually use it to live and have housing? So it's a utilitarian type of debt and actually generate income and over time build equity. So today we're going to talk to Tammy about how to manage these properties. I have 2 really cool documents that I want to share with you, but I want to talk to Tammy because she is the key holder per se. She's the person who's going to give us access to that dream, and she's going to teach us how to finance these purchases or how to go about getting a property through her programs.
Yeah, the things that we have available to us, first of all, I do lending for these kinds of programs all across the country in all 50 states. But we're right now right here in Chicago. And we have in the state of Illinois a specific program for first-time home buyers to be able to get into their homes a little more easily with a grant. There's a grant version and a loan version. And that program is called IDA, IDHA. And basically clients just need to apply for the loan. They would contact me as their lender, apply for the loan with me, and then we would qualify them through IDA. They would get an assistance, a down payment assistance in some amount that was usually between $2,000 and $10,000, and that would go towards their down payment, so they don't have to come out of pocket with anything at closing. A lot of people don't even know that program exists. So that's one that they can have here. Other states have their own as well. Some counties sponsor their own programs that are just like that. So depending on where you are in the country, you could look that up and see what program would be right for you or what you might be eligible for. We also have down payment assistance programs that are not through the government. They're private down payment assistance programs. For instance, we have a loan program where you get your regular first mortgage that could be about 95% of the home's value. And then a second mortgage is offered to you of 4% of the home's value, which then only requires 1% to be brought as your down payment. So if you're buying a $300,000 home, you put down $3,000 to be able to move in. And so, I mean, that's basically a deposit on a rental, you know, to be able to move into your own home. And then last, we also have the FHA programs, which allow you to move in with just 3.5% down. These right now, I know rates are crazy, they're all over the board, but right now, FHA rates are some of the best rates out there that you can get. This week, we've still been locking in the threes for FHA. So now's the time to seize the day on that program.
Wow, I am all about leveraging what I call fake money, right? Not my money that I've earned through my revenue or income, but the lender's money or the bank's money, who is my business partner. I am going to pay you an interest rate on that money that I borrow, but if you're asking me to buy a property with only 1% of that acquisition cost, it's a win-win because the tenant's gonna pay that mortgage, right? So the least I come out of pocket, the more I'm not gonna be leveraged into the property, but I'm gonna hold that property. And for example, if I buy a $100,000 property and only have to come to closing with $1,000, duh, I mean, that's amazing. Plus, a $100,000 property eventually over time can grow in equity or value, and eventually that $100,000 asset can grow into a $200,000 value, 300. I'm sorry, 200, 300. You know what I mean. But eventually grow equity, and through our property management systems, we will be more than happy to teach you and walk you through that process. I mean, with Robin, we literally met with her, showed her how to do the open houses for her tenants, how to do tenant screenings, shared the tenant handbook that I'm going to share with you, which is an amazing tool that I use and I give to all my clients. And if you want a copy of this document, I'll be more than happy to share with you. Just DM me for the information. We also have leases in places, receipts, all the materials that you will need in order to get your company started, and screening the tenants, talent selection, and talent retention, and also how to manage it using our tools. I'm going to go ahead and share this document with you. Just bear with me as I am new to the Zoom world. And I'm going to see if I can share this. Can you see that? Oh, there we go. I'm sharing everything. But this is a document that I really, really enjoy, and I've been using this. The first property I bought out of college was a 2-flat. And I became very well versed in the Section 8 system, CHA now as they call it. And this is actually a document that I borrowed from them back in like 2000. So I've had this for a very long time and it works amazingly. This document basically says, thank you for choosing our property versus any other property. This is my contact information. These are my hours of operation. Remember, it is a business. So your office hours are very important because you also want to enjoy your time with your family and also manage multiple properties. So if you duplicate the process, you have one unit, one building, and it's a successful acquisition, that you just go ahead and buy another one and another one. And remember to maintain your office hours, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday, emergencies only. And you have to stipulate that in the front end because you want your tenants to understand the rules of engagement. Payment is due on the first of the month. This is where the payment is to be sent. Nowadays, we have an amazing system with Zelle, Quick Pay. There are these online platforms that don't require you to go and knock on people's doors to collect rent, as I was when I first started. Anyway, rent is due on the 3rd of the month because we're giving them a grace period, but it's due whether you're here or abroad, whether you're traveling or not. Security deposits are only for damages. They cannot use that towards first month's rent or last month's rent. It is strictly for security deposit. And remember, if you're going to repair something out of that security deposit budget, make sure you replenish that at the end of the month. You cannot hold this security deposit in a commingling account, which means that you have to have it in a separate account. Remind yourself to check in with your landlords if you are a tenant to make sure that your landlord is also respecting these rules. Inspection reports, we do move-in inspections and we move out inspections. The leases, we stipulate who is going to be contacting you, who are the participating parties. I'm going to go really fast through this document because if you really want a copy, I can definitely email it to you. This is a really good one, occupancy. Anyone who's in the property for longer than 14 days is no longer a guest, right? You have to make sure you inform your landlord if someone's going to be there more than 14 days, because now they need to belong in that lease. And then you would need to have another conversation about rent that is due and the amount that is due with you having additional guests. Residence insurance. Our insurance does not cover your belongings. Every tenant needs to have their own renter's policy. Move-ins, move-outs stipulates. You want them to move in through the rear or through the front of the building. Obviously, you want to maintain your common areas clean, so you don't want any scratches. Move out. This is very important as well, because you need to stipulate and remind your tenants when they're moving in that if they're not going to renew the lease, they at least to give you about 60-day written notice if they're not going to renew. Why? Because you want to have access to that property when it's time to list it again and market the property for another tenant. Remember, this is a business and you have to manage it like it's a business. If you miss reminding them within that 60 days, now you've forgotten and you only have 30 days to find a new tenant. And depending on when you come back on the market, if you're going to be coming back on the market fourth quarter, you need more than 60 days to market that property, maybe 90 days. So there's got to be some proactivity on your part to make sure the property is always occupied, because you don't want to have vacancies. Access to the property, another one that's really good, because if that tenant decides they're not going to renew that contract, you want to be able to access that property. Typically, tenants are going to want 48-hour notice. Your realtors are going to want 24-hour notice, is because we want to have accessibility. We want to have access to that property because we want to show it whenever that new tenant wants to see it. Children, pets, if pets are allowed or not. Otherwise, there's a penalty fee. Disturbance drunkenness that disturbs other residents will not be tolerated, and specify that, right? Because you don't want someone to have loud noise playing, or someone that's having parties all the time. So this is one way. Community appearance is kind of exaggerating, but you'll never know how people just leave their umbrellas or shoes outside your property, and then the other tenants are going to be complaining. So again, this is just to reduce the problems and the ongoing maintenance or management on your part. Security and safety, vacations. So this is a really good document. And at the end of this, you ask your tenant to sign or to initial the bottom of it, because you want to make sure that everybody understands the rules of engagement. And that's going to facilitate, that's going to allow you to have a tenant that's going to be respectful of your property, and it's going to know that you mean business, and you're not going to, you're not going to mess around with how they use the property while they're renting from you. The lease is another package that we can definitely share. And remember, nowadays with you have to say where you're going to hold the security deposit. You also have to state which is the insurance company that they are using to insure the property, because they have to get a renter's policy. And we also encourage you to get a copy of that Illinois Landlord Tenant Ordinance Summary that stipulates how much late fees you can charge, how to use that security deposit if you're going to be charging one. And we have these pamphlets that we can give you access to. But again, make sure you give your tenants receipts for everything that they've given you. Tenants also need to get the interest accrued from that security deposit if you are going to be charging security deposit. Remember, some companies or property management companies recommend that you do a move-in fee rather than security deposit. That is all up to you. But very, very important, make sure you give your tenants a receipt for everything, because technically, if you miss one of these checkpoints, you could be sued by your tenant for twice the security amount. So tenants can call 311 and get free legal services, while you're going to have to send money on an attorney to pay for these things and have somebody represent you in the negotiations if something goes wrong with your relationship with tenants. So great information. We have access to this, and we're more than happy to share it with you so that you can manage your property correctly. Tammy, do you have anything to add?
That is amazing information, Carla. And I started renting out my places in 2011, and I wish that I had that thorough of a document or some kind of help that would have pointed me in the right direction, because I had to figure most of that stuff out by default. So another reason to call Carla Mina and have her help you with your property management.
Oh, I love it. You're plugging my business. But I mean, one of the things that Robin shared with me just recently was that, her husband, Mike, was really excited. I asked him, are you guys really excited about your closing? And he's like, I'm going to be excited when we get the place rented. So the place was completely vacant, which is a whole different way of buying property. But sometimes you can buy properties that are already rented. So all you have to do is take over the leases and make sure that everything's run correctly. I enjoy being, I'm really type A, right? So I'm a control freak. I love to be able to screen my own tenants and know who's going to be there. And from the start, teach them, walk them through this tenant handbook, because they understand that this is how we're going to run business. I mean, the properties have to look great. I always give my tenants a welcome home basket with bottled wine and some cleaning supplies, so they understand that, hey, this is a great relationship we're going to have, but we have to respect each other. As your landlord and you as a tenant, your responsibility is keep the property clean, and we'll manage it for you. We'll make sure that we respond to all your repair requests within 24 hours, or if we have to go through contractors like an HVAC or a plumber or what have you, we have to go by their schedule. So it's open dialogue, right, with your tenants who are your customers, as you are the CEO of that company. So
Amazing.
remember, pick up these books, Rich Buyer, Rich Seller, and there's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which talks about passive investment versus active investments, which is what we're advocating today.
Absolutely. I love this because in these uncertain times, it's all about reinventing ourselves, right? What's the new normal? How can we be resourceful? How can we be creative? We're working from home. What else can we do from home? Things are shifting, and this kind of investment is really smart to get in front of and be able to generate income another way maybe than you were used to before. I do want to touch really quickly on just mentioning before our most exciting part of the show, which is the cooking part. I just want to say real quick that there are options for people if you are in a situation where you cannot make your mortgage payment. Mortgage deferments are available if you have some kind of COVID-related lack of income, and you can prove that by showing a pay stub that is at zero or something, or a restaurant that's out of business or something like that. You need to be able to show documentation. Right now, most lenders are granting 30 to 90-day deferments, but the government has asked them to grant up to 12-month deferments. And student loans, very similar situation. In both instances, contact the lender directly. Also, all those lenders have been asked not to report any of the delayed payments onto credit. So this is all very unprecedented, and nobody's ever seen this before. So it kind of remains to be seen how that will play out. But we know the options are available. SBA loans as well. There are lots and lots of options for small businesses right now, ranging from $25,000 express loans with very, very minimal paperwork, up to, you can do a $200,000 loan without a personal guarantee, and up to $10 million in some cases for the paycheck protection loans. And part of those can actually be given back to the business as a grant or a forgivable amount. So if you guys go to SBA.gov, you can read more about that, or just Google the stimulus so you can find the places to apply and get yourself in line for some of those benefits.
Great information, very timely, Tammy, because we did get a client that called in and said, hey, give me more information about the deferment of your mortgage payments. So great stuff. And remember, we are here for you. If you have any additional questions or want to know more about these websites or documents, we're more than happy to share with you. We are your friend. You have a friend in us, and we're here to help you. Talking about friends, how are you, Mr. Greg Horan?
Doing great, Carla. How are you? Before we go any further, Dan and I would both like to object to the disturbance clause in your handbook as far as the drunkenness part, right, Dan? I think we're going to cross that off if we're going to sign that lease.
I love it. And that's exactly why I would never rent to both of you. And otherwise we'll start with the evictions. Oh, cheers to you. I mean, it is a good time for you to be drinking.
What else do we have to do? They're not letting any customers in the restaurants. So what are we going to do but have a cocktail, right?
You're just jealous because you weren't part of our last show where we actually got to hang out with your guy, Ryan, who created some really amazing old fashions for us.
Ryan made some great old fashions, but I've got a little Pappy Van Winkle here, which we don't put a giant ice cube in because you like to drink it just neat like this.
Oh, look at that. I'm so jealous. But hey, how do you like my shirt? I see you're wearing the Gibson swag over there, so I thought I'd wear my Market Overdrive. When
you have a great brand like Market Overdrive or Gibsons, you got to display it proudly.
I love it. So, Mr. Horan, let's get to another section. I'm kind of bummed because we were launching the pre-shift at the studio, and now we get to be on location, but we get to enjoy your backdrop there. Still beautiful views that I miss going to the restaurant. Tell me, what's going on with your neck of the woods? How's business?
Well, we'll be back soon enough. Right now, we are confined to just doing curbside delivery and pickup and delivery through DoorDash. But the response has been overwhelming. Support from the community has been great. We actually did a real special deal where we're selling our steaks in cryovac a few bucks above our costs, not quite our cost, but very inexpensive. Dan's showing you the cryovac right there. And it's been, the response has been fantastic, and we're learning a lot. We're, you know, like you guys said, we're trying to adapt to a new way to do business. We're trying to do this carry out business and stay open, you know, for our customers' sake and for the sake of our employees.
I love that you're doing that, and you guys are selling your steaks at cost, and
a little bit more than cost, not exact cost.
Oh, go ahead and explain that again so we can.
A little bit more than cost. I don't want to. It's cost plus a couple bucks, but it's really kind of unprecedentedly low prices for sure.
And that brings me to another question. I mean, I realize that a lot of your competitors or other restaurants are closing the doors. I mean, they're literally, the mayor said everyone closes down and everyone's either going to do deliveries or, as you say, they can come by and pick up the food themselves. But what's keeping you guys open, and what's the business plan behind that?
Well, I mean, we have a real loyal following in all of our restaurants, and we feel strongly committed to making sure that we're there for our entire customer base throughout this hard time. There's people who can't get to stores. There's people who can't cook for themselves. We want to be there for that customer base and take care of them on a daily basis, like we've been doing for the past 31 years. 20 years in Rosemont today. Shout out to Rosemont, April 1st, 2000. Happy 20th. So we're here for the customers, but we're also here for the employees. You know, we're a great place to work. We paid all of our employees for the first 2 weeks after the issues. Most of our staff is still being paid something, and we're gonna keep people employed as long as we possibly can, and keep providing for our customer base as well.
I commend you for that, Greg, because it really is going back to the shows that we've had in the past with your support for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This is another reason why, I mean, I love the company. It's a company that really, really cares. You're literally staying open and obviously selling at cost per se, and then of course some number or whatever revenue tied to that, but just solely so that you can continue to keep the doors open and keep your employees employed, as many companies have already closed down and are not doing anything to even relaunch, reinvent, or do anything different to keep their employees, right?
This is not a profitable situation for us, to say the least. We're doing our best. We're taking money in. We're also providing a great service to the community and making sure that the Gibsons brand is still out there strong. But when we do this, we're also selling a lot of steaks, like we said, in cryovac. So a lot of people like yourself are not familiar with how to cook a great piece of meat at home. So
Wait, what do you mean like myself? I'm the best at cooking or grilling steak. Are you kidding me?
Anyway, really nice piece of meat. We'd hate to have you destroyed at home. If you call the restaurant and say, I burned my own piece of steak, I'm not giving you a gift card. So don't try it.
I do. I have heard that if you don't like the service and you don't like your meal, you can always ask for a gift card, right?
It doesn't work. That doesn't work when you cook it at home by yourself. So we don't want you to have to throw it out. So let's do it.
No, that would be the worst. So tell me, what's the process? How can I order my steaks?
Okay, you can call the restaurant. Any of our restaurants, we're all still open. That's Gibson's, Gibson's Hugo's, Gibson's Rosemont, Gibson's Oakbrook, Hugo's Naperville, Portino, Lux Bar. Call any of them that has steaks, and you can get it cooked, prepared for you right there, or you can get it in cryovac to cook later or freeze or do whatever you like. And you can also get that through DoorDash. All the menus are available on DoorDash as well.
I love it. I know that you guys have loyal followers. You have your locals who are there all the time. I mean, there's families who literally, I mean, these neighborhoods like Rush Street, right? You have guests that come in all the time. How are you keeping in touch with those people that come in that are used to your food and, like me, don't cook or don't enjoy cooking? I mean, I'm enjoying cooking a little bit more now, but you know, there's people who really, really enjoy going to the restaurants.
Sure. Yeah, and we're missing that social aspect, but we are trying to reach out and talk to our customers on the phone as much as possible when they do reach out to us. We have one lady in particular who calls us every day at 11 o'clock to order lunch and dinner, and that's usually a 15 to 20 minute phone conversation, just staying engaged and figuring out what's going on with her as well.
I love that. That's part of the senior community, right? I mean, this is what they do. This is what they've been doing for many years. I mean, you guys have been open. You've been doing this for 23 years, but
yeah, Gibson's
of the company.
Gibson's been in the neighborhood for 31 years. Yeah, I'm almost in that senior division too, so I'm creeping up on that.
All right, without further ado, let's get to the fun part. Show us how to make those steaks, Chef Dan.
All right. No, Greg, you had something to say?
No, I thought that was fun. Now this is the fun part. I thought I was kind of fun too.
Yeah.
You're far more entertaining than I am. You're much more personable than I am. But I'm not here to be a personality. I'm here to teach you how to cook the steak that you're going to come by and pick up from us. So you get the steak in what's called a cryo vac. It's vacuum packed, so it's oxygen free. It's chilled. Okay, so you get it home, you have this package, you're like, oh man, how do I open this? What do I do without stabbing the meat and ruining it? Well, that's pretty easy to do. So you have two sides. You have a thicker, more rigid side, which you'll see where the bag is actually sealed. And then you flip it over and it's not so rigid and it's a little bit thinner. So this is the side that I recommend cutting through to get to your steak. Use a sharp knife, sharp paring knife. Make sure it's sharp, because if it's not, you're going to force it, you're going to jab at it, and then you might slip and stab yourself. And we're trying to prevent some injuries here. They don't have room anywhere at the hospitals, emergency rooms right now. So let's be careful, use a sharp knife. A steel, always, couple reps on this, takes any nicks out of the blade, and then it's going to cut through cleanly. So I'm going to take this knife, slowly slide it into the plastic. You'll see the oxygen fills the bag, and then I'm going to slide it through away from me. So I cut Joe, my cameraman, and not myself. So we're just going to pull this gently open. And this little piece of paper here, it's called bone guard. It's meant to protect the bag from puncturing when they suck the oxygen out. So there we have this beautiful prime ribeye. Just going to throw that over there. And now we're going to let this come to room temperature before we do anything with it. Maybe 10, 15 minutes. What that'll do for you is it'll allow the meat to cook through more evenly. You take something ice cold out of the refrigerator, of course the heat's going to get to it on the outside really fast, and then the middle will be cold, and it's not going to cook as evenly as you like. Certainly important with the larger format steak, something like our Chicago cut ribeye, which can weigh up to 22 ounces. We also have a petite filet here, a 7-ounce filet. Now, how much do you season it with? That's a good question, and what to season it with. Well, obviously, Gibsons roasting salt, available on Amazon and at Costco and many of your local grocery stores, is the best thing to season it with. It has everything you want. People love it. And the calls we get from folks that have put this on their stuff, they're like, oh, we need more, we got to get it. So you got it, it's right here. We're going to put it on the steak. How much? All right. For a larger format steak, you're going to want more seasoning, right? Smaller steaks, obviously less seasoning. So I would say for a 7-ounce filet here, I'm going to take about a teaspoon, right? So I'm going to put that in my hand. I'm going to dust half of it on there right now. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to do the other side. There we go. We got nice seasoning. It looks like a lot, but remember, there's all that meat in the middle. You got to worry about what's in the middle too. It's got to taste like something. So
hey,
now
Dan,
something like, yes.
Quick question, Dan. Are you using any oil on there as well, or just going straight with the seasoning?
At home, I'm not. If you really enjoy a lot of char on your steak, you can go ahead and oil it up. But if you're using a very hot grill that's well conditioned and clean, you're not going to have any sticking problems.
Okay.
If you do want a little bit of char, feel free to brush it with oil, and you're going to start to get that flare up. But watch out, you might burn your house down, okay? So we're trying to do this in somebody's house. We don't have Ansel systems, so we're just safety first, Greg.
Gotcha.
So we're going to do about a teaspoon on each side of this steak. And again, it looks like a lot, but it really isn't. When you're talking about almost 1.5 pounds, 1.25 pounds steak, 2 teaspoons is the right amount of stuff to put on there. So now you've done that, you're waiting to get to room temperature before you fire this off. We're going to take it out there. Let's take the other tool we need with us, a thermometer, right? So you have your rack here, your thermometer, and then what are you going to put it on after you're done cooking it, right? Food safety. Let's have a clean plate to put it on when we're done. Follow me, Joe.
Clean plate. Always bring a clean plate, guys. You don't want to have cross-contamination to take the same plate that you took it out to the grill with to bring it back on. You don't want to do that. You want to have a nice clean plate to bring the finished product on.
Right. So here we are. we've got our grill maxed out on high. We're cranking. Everything's hot. We're going to open it up. All right. We're going to put our steaks on there. We're going to get a nice sear going. Okay. Now, what to do? You're going to want to mark it. Try and do a 45-degree angle. So you mark it maybe about 2 minutes. Then you turn it about 45 degrees and you mark it again. And then as it's cooking, you're going to flip it over. Heat's going. Okay. Watch the flare up. If you start to get flare up, what you're going to do is you're going to drop one side of your grill down. So I have 2 burners. Some people have 4, 3. Drop one down to low as soon as you feel you have the char on your steak that you're looking for. Then you're going to move it over and you're going to let indirect heat cook it through. What's indirect heat? Well, that's like cooking in an oven, right? So if we're going to cook this inside the house because we don't have a grill, well, we're going to throw a cast iron skillet on the stove, or we're going to use a saute pan. We're going to get it raging hot. And maybe there you'd use a little bit of oil, corn oil or grapeseed oil, avocado oil, anything with a low smoke point. Olive oil will burn too quickly at high temperature. So then you're going to sear it. You're going to get nice caramelization. What's caramelization? It's the natural sugars in the meat that kind of get crusty, and there's all that flavor there, and that's why you want the seasoning. That's what a lot of the flavor comes from. So you're going to sear it, you flip it over, and then you pop it in the oven. So we're going to let this go.
Dan, what temp would you put it in the oven?
I would set your oven at 400 degrees. And you see, that's just like an easy 45-degree angle flip. And we're going to let these go for a minute. But while those are going, to the magic of television production, I happen to have one ready for you to try. So come on in.
Did you say caramelization, like caramelization? See?
Not caramelization.
Yes.
Caramelization.
I need Carlamina love to make this good steaks because I can't cook. I was looking for my seasoning, but I can't find it. So.
And there.
Oh,
we
wow.
have a beautiful ribeye.
That's food.
Chicago cut. Yeah, it's a beautiful steak, right? So what you're going to do is.
I mean.
Dan, what are you looking? I prefer a ribeye because it's got a lot of internal marbling and it's got the fat cap on it. I prefer it a medium to medium well. A little bit more than another steak, just because it really melts that. It makes it melt in your mouth.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. A smart guy, Audrey Triplett once said, "Who am I to tell you how to eat your steak?" So I'm not telling anybody what temperature they should eat their steak at. What I like is the leaner cuts, like a tenderloin. I'm going to go for a rare temperature. A strip steak, which is a little more exercise of a muscle, it's got a little more marbling in it. I'm going to go medium rare. For a ribeye, I definitely like to get closer to medium plus. Heading into the medium well. That's an old guy thing, so that's probably why you brought that up, Greg. But we'll just set that aside for right now. What are the temperatures you're going for? You're going for 115 to 125 is probably the standard norm for a rare. A little bit up from that, 5-10 degrees, you're going to get into medium rare, and then another 5-10 into medium, and then 150, you're probably at medium well. 165, it's well done, just the way you like it, Greg.
No, thank you.
That's why you're El Jefe de Chefs. I love that T-shirt.
El Jefe de Chefe. So important to have a thermometer at home. I like the dial ones. They work, but you got to calibrate them in ice water and make sure they're calibrated to 32 degrees. You get yourself an inexpensive digital thermometer. Take the temperature of your steak and pull it when you're ready for it, right? So this steak was at about 120, 25 degrees when I pulled it off. And it's going to rest up probably about 5 degrees while we're waiting. And that's fine. But just know that your steak's going to go about another 5 degrees.
Is that a solid medium, Dan? A solid medium, about 125?
In the real world, I think a solid medium is probably over 130. So I'd say 120, 125 is more medium rare. So we're probably close to 130 where the steak finished off at as it rested in the oven for about, I think I had it in there for about 10 or 15 minutes. I don't recommend resting it that long, but I would say let it go for at least 5 minutes before you cut into it. Certainly if it's a larger steak, right, you're feeding a bunch of people. Don't pull it off the grill and try and cut into it right away. You do that, the juices are gonna run out and you're gonna have dried out pieces of meat. Now we're gonna see here, we're gonna pull this steak off this platter and we're just gonna slice it. In this case, I'm just gonna take the bone off and then I'm just gonna start cutting through it. And that's actually, see, at 125, 130, you're getting into what we would call probably closer to medium well, medium plus range. Again, remember it's rested and it's chilled a little bit, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So
can I just grab a little bit, like a little piece? I seriously just want one.
I know, it looks so good.
Notice on the board, you don't have juice running all over the place. If you've got juice all over your board, you haven't let it rested, and every bite of that piece of meat is going to be dried out. So you don't want to do that. Let it rest. This is going to stay juicy now, sliced for a few minutes. Let's head back to the grill, and we're going to flip these steaks over before we start a fire.
That is amazing. And remember that day when we were going to have a party and we were going to have an auction that included dinner for 6, cooked by Chef Sosa? I mean, this is so cool. Can we still have that?
We are absolutely going to have that as soon as we're back in action. We're going to have that St. Jude fundraiser, and we're going to have those prizes. We're going to have dinner with Duncan Keith. We're going to have Chef Sosa come to your house and make dinner. Maybe you'll bring Chef Dan as a sous chef as well. Hey Dan, we're going to wrap up here, but can you tell us one quick question for me? Let's say I buy a bunch of steaks, I throw in my freezer. What's the best way to defrost the steaks out of the freezer?
Greg, I'm glad you asked that question. The best way to do it is in your refrigerator overnight. Don't try and rapid thaw it. If you need it quicker than thawing it overnight, I'd recommend doing it in cold running water. That's what the health department says to do, and that's probably the safest way to do it and to maintain the integrity of it. But the best thing to do is to thaw it slowly overnight. You're going to maintain the moisture, juiciness, and obviously the flavor and texture and all the things that we're looking for in a steak.
That's awesome.
And gentlemen, one dumb question for me, the non-cook person. How long can you keep those in the refrigerator?
Or the freezer?
Or the freezer?
I would say about, depending on when it was cut, from the day it was cut and put into cryovac, you have 14 days if the cold chain hasn't been broken, right? Chilled completely, no movement of product around. So let's just say 7 days from any steak you're going to pick up. And there should be fabrication dates available. Okay, so 7 days from the time you buy the steak from us to the time you should eat it.
6 months in the freezer?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't go past 6 months in the freezer, but they'll be fine if your freezer is very cold and there's no interruption in the process. It should hold up just fine for you for a few months.
What do you think, Tammy? If we get these for Sean, they're not going to last but 1 day in the freezer.
You know what's so funny is that Sean is actually watching from the other room right now, and he just texted me and said, right after this, we're going to Gibsons and picking up some steaks.
It's the last time we did the show, Joel ordered some steaks too, and also started sending gift cards to his client. And our very own Will Barroso, who you can see, I don't know, hi Will, are you there? But he always come up, right, Greg? We had WB, Will Barroso, our producer.
Yes, yeah. We'll had some WRs. WB had some WR Chicago cuts.
Love it. Great stuff. Chef Dan, thank you so much for this tutorial. It is good to have it for all of you at home. I'm sorry?
Dan's fantastic, isn't he? Gibson strong.
Gibson
strong, baby. That's what I'm talking about. The gun show.
Love you guys.
Right.
You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your partnership. We love your company. Again and again, it's a company that cares. It is a true passion of mine to align myself with businesses that care about their employees, about their customers, because it's something that, right, you surround yourself with good people, you're going to live. I mean, I live and thrive in real estate. So the people I work with and I hang out with, they're my friends, my family. So it's an extension of my business. Our clients are contacting you. You're sending gifts to our clients. So we thank you so much for your partnership. And of course, for that relationship that we have grown together with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Tammy?
Absolutely. And a big thank you to everybody for joining us this Thursday evening and continuing to be a part of the Mod family. You guys are amazing. And hey, it's the upside of quarantine that we get to hang out together. So thanks for being here.
Yes, there's always upsides. And next upside is on Monday, you will be hearing from our very own Sunny, who's a fitness trainer. We're trying to keep information relevant, stuff that you can do at home, and he's going to bring you a different look at what kind of fitness or what kind of workout routines you could do from the comfort of your home. And of course, Tammy and I are going to continue to elevate your real estate IQ and tell you, show you, or encourage you to become an investor and learn with us how to manage properties, how to buy properties. And next week, we're going to be talking about capitalization rates and what areas are showing growth and are still active. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you like the information that you're watching, please share this and tag your friends. Make sure that you DM me if you have any questions or want access to our documents. As always, thank you so much. Please stay safe and stay blessed.